Hey, I'm Josh from Vacuums R Us in Colorado, and I'm going to show you a pretty easy fix today. This is off of a Dyson full-size upright vacuum. This is the cyclone assembly, and it's very common. This button will stop working. You'll push it. The lid won't come off on the bottom to dump it out. It's super annoying. You have to manually get down there and crank it open. Typically happens because something has gone wrong with one of these two parts up top. Frequently, in this case, this is bent. Somebody pushed the trigger, it bent it out. You can try to bend it back, and it usually is going to go ahead and break off. So it's easier to just go ahead and replace those parts. Now, Dyson doesn't actually sell these parts. Their solution to this, if something goes wrong with the upper trigger, is to replace this entire upper assembly. If something goes wrong with this lower actuator arm, their resolution is to replace the entire cyclone assembly, which is a lot of plastic to put in the dumpster, but is certainly a lot of money in Dyson's pocket for this common defect. But these are available. This is a kit. It's both of the parts that tend to fail. I'll link to it below. We sell the things. You get free shipping in Colorado. I think you have to hit like a $25 order to get free shipping elsewhere. So if you throw on like a filter or something like that, you'll hit your 25 bucks and get the free shipping, so whatever. This is a relatively easy repair. We normally have a lengthy disclaimer. I'm just going to tell you real simply, do this at your own risk. If something goes sideways and your vacuum breaks or your vacuum becomes sentient and eats your cat, we're not liable for that. Not our problem. This is a public service. Do this at your own risk. So first thing, I've already dumped the canister out. I'm going to remove the lower bin assembly. In order to do that, I'm going to manually open that up. And then right over here, there is a gray button that I'm going to push on this side. That gray button will detach the lower canister. Lily has actually come to help us. This is Lily. She works in the offices in the Fort Collins location. She works with our inventory team to keep them from losing their minds while they're shipping out the hundreds and hundreds of packages of stuff that you order from us. Okay, now that we have a cameo, back to fixing the vacuum. Anyway, so you're going to open this up like you would if you're going to remove the filter, and then there's these two plastic clips right here. And if you pull one of them out, this upper assembly will come off entirely. So now that's been removed. Now you can deal with this thing right here, and you can also deal with this. Now this is the easier of the two parts to replace. So there's little teeth, little springy teethy things right here on either side of this. And if you depress those springy teethy things, if you depress both of them, I'm going to do with a screwdriver on the one side, and I'm holding it down. So I pushed in the one side and I'm holding this down. And if you do it just right, that side will be held down, and then you can push in the other side. Nope, see, I lost the one side. There we go. And now the whole thing just pops right out. And there's a spring in there. There's two springs. There's one that's right there, and there's another one that goes right in there. This one goes right in there. That back in. And now, this little pokey thingy right here is what goes on top of that spring. So if you line this up, and I'm looking through it, I don't know how well it's showing up in the on the camera, but I'm lining, I can see it because it's clear, and then it snaps in, and these little teethy thingies, they keep it from popping back out again. So that's how you replace the upper one. Super, super, super easy. And if that's your issue, if that's a broken part, super easy. This other piece is a little bit more difficult because you have to take the canister apart to get this out. But it's not terrible. So I'm going to use a large flathead, and so there's little tabs all around this that are holding the gray part onto the purple part. And I am going to remove those. I'm going to pop those tabs out very carefully. And you have to be super careful here because you can break this lip up here because you have to apply pressure So I've got it just unhooked, and I'm going to go around and I'm going to gently unhook the next one. And you want to do this gently so that A, you don't break it, and B, you don't pop in the other one. And we're going to pop that out. And soon we're going to see the amount of debris that is inside of this cyclone assembly that has been building up over the years. And our air has been blowing over, and it has been blowing over that debris and potential mold, blowing back into your home. And that is why professionals in the vacuum industry hate so-called bagless vacuums. I'm not going to go crazy with it because I don't want to destroy my tech bench, but you can see there's this massive buildup of debris in here. Okay, so now that I've got the bottom off, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remove the red clip. I'm going to get a little bit closer because this is really tricky. So we're going to push it down. I'm going to pull this spring off. This spring has 2 points, one on this side, and then it's got a point on that side. And so the point will come down here, and then there's a slot right here that point will come through, and that will allow me to pull the spring out the bottom. There's a slot right there for the spring to go through. So now that I've got the spring out, I'm able to push this all the way down. If I pull this out like this, I can push it all the way down. This is like a puzzle. So I can pull it all the way down. I have enough flexibility that I can get this red piece around that cap right there. Now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to push it all the way back up again. And with a large screwdriver, again, very carefully, I'm going to put the screwdriver in here, and I'm going to open this up a little bit carefully, and that will pop out. And now I've got it out. This is the old one. This is actually not damaged, but we're doing this as an example. So here's the new one. So we're going to do the opposite. We are going to insert this point up here. We're going to bring it all the way up. I'm going to just barely open this up with a large screwdriver and push the new one in. And then it actually slid right in real quick there. I'm going to bring it back down again. We're doing the opposite of what we did before. I'm going to bring it back down again. It's out, it's up, down, and it'll slide around, and it'll go right underneath that lip. And then I can push it back up again. And I'm going to reinsert the spring. So again, there's little toothy thingies on here, and it doesn't matter which direction you put it in. So I'm going to put the spring in down here. It will go in here. I'll turn it this direction. And now I'm going to, this little metal piece is going to go underneath this. So it's going to push up, and there's a spot on these. The spring pushes into that, but the piece that points out is going to go underneath this flap like that. Okay. So what that does is when this spring is pressurized, it makes it so that flips like that. That's the idea. So now we're going to reinstall this, which is really tricky because there's 2 springs we need to contend with. Now typically, by the way, if you're going to do all this work, clean this disgusting thing out. This is just a demo machine. We're throwing it away. So there's 2 springs. There's a spring right here on this gray clip. You remember that gray clip is what holds on your canister. And then there's this spring also to contend with. So this spring, that little tiny dot right there, is what this spring is going to rest on. And then this spring right here is going to rest on this. So we have to get both of those in there. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to line it up. And I'm going to get my large spring lined up right there. I'm going to make sure that that one pointy sticky outy thingy is underneath there. Got to make sure that's there. And then this spring right here is going to try to catch on this lip in this gasket. So I've got to lift it up. And I typically use a pick. And I'm going to grab that spring there so I can get it over this lip as I'm bringing this up. Come on. There we go. And you got to make sure that spring doesn't get dragged, because if it gets dragged, it'll pop out from where it's attached to the back of this gray button, and it'll go flying, you'll lose it. Okay, so we're going to line up. Line everything up carefully. I've lost, so this has come out from behind that. Which actually isn't that big a deal. Even if you put the whole thing together and your spring has come out from behind there, you can actually get it, put in there. So I've got small spring right here, which is starting to get bent back there. I'm going to bring that forward with a pick. I'm going to kind of try to lift that spring and put it with my pick. I'm going to lift it and I'm going to try to put it on this. And I've successfully done so. In here, this spring is now on that purple plastic thing right there. So it's in a good position. This spring, that right there, is underneath this, and then this spring, the other piece right here, that's got to move as I bring it in. So this right here has got to slide over here, and it's going to actually, there's a groove right there that this is going to have to go into as I bring it together. So I'm gonna, now that I have this lined up right here, now I'm going to snap on, I've got these clips on the back. I'm going to snap these on, 2 of them. I've got 2 clips on the back, but my front is still not connected. I'm going to see if I can get this one to go in or close to it. There it goes. So this one and this one are still not connected, which is good. So I'm going to bring that spring around, and then I'm going to push it in and get this last one set in there. Okay. And you see, I know I did it right because this properly engages now. And then this one actually snapped in for me at the same time. And this also properly pushes back. That spring is actuating that. And so now I can put this back on, and this just goes in there like that. There we go. Now that's good. And we will find, I put all this back together again. So there's a clip right here that lines up with that slot right there. And then my gray button will go in there. So when I close, and I depress this now, it will actuate this. Press on that, and it will depress that, and that will open up. All right, and that is that. Hopefully, your issue is this upper button, not the lower one. That's a bit of a bugger to get into, but you know, you see how to do it now. It's just about finessing stuff, you know, without any experience. Don't be shocked if it takes you 15, 20 minutes, but man, I mean, these cyclones are not cheap. It's a lot cheaper to just do this than to replace an entire cyclone. Hopefully that helps.